You are currently the only person in this conference.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm all right. I just put in the presentation. So that should be all there. Let me just adjust the screen. We've had 26 people who've been into our course room already because I promised them a badge. So they already downloaded the Scarf PDF file. But nobody will have read it, which is good. So that should be up.
It's collecting badges.
I don't know whether you've been following it a bit, but it's crazy because people have been going absolutely mad over those badges, and they're quite inflationary, but in a very fun way. Like Julian put in a cat a day badge. Somebody had a cat suddenly jump across the screen over his webcam, and what are them? Oh, there's a hardcore iMoot badge because one person has broken her arm in 2 places and attended her iMoot presentation she gave a couple of hours later, things like that. Absolutely crazy going on. But very, as with all the, with all the real Moodle moods, very, very good atmosphere, very supporting.
Great.
Oh, hello, we've got friends here. Excellent.
Hello. There's the support person.
Hello, support person. Hi. I think everything's working fine. I uploaded the presentation. That seems to be working cool. Let me just flip. Yeah, that's advancing as well. So I think we're ready to roll. Thanks for being here. Oh, excellent. Hi, Nadia.
Hello, Nadia.
Well, hello. That's good to hear.
Now it's that is the first time I'm using Big Blue Button in a conference, or actually ever trying it out, and I'm seriously impressed. It's a very, very good, very, very good piece of software.
Well, thank you very much. We've been working for a while now on it.
Now I've got the problem of having to convince my superiors that we need it.
That's good news. I'm working on making it even better. Hopefully the HTML5 client will be there soon as well. So we won't need Flash too. Yeah.
Actually, that will be great because I'm working on a Linux machine, and Flash is always a bit of a problem there. But with the latest issue of Google Chromium, that's working fine. Out of the box, go in,
this is what I use,
which is brilliant. Let's have a sip of water.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'll just hang around in case there is anything when the other participants join the session.
Please do.
Is that all right?
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
Hello, newcomers. Hello, Michael. From where are you joining us? That's the other Michael, not you, Michael T.
Michael G.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now we
Yes,
can.
hello there. Is your
How are
name
you?
pronounced? Is your name pronounced Gwyther, the last name?
Look, it is. I think it's Gwither originally from the Welsh, but my family had a fight and one family anglicised the name, so I'm stuck with the anglicised version, Gwyther.
No. But I didn't quite catch from where are you joining us today?
I'm from Ballarat, Victoria, Australia.
All right. So you've got about, what is it, late afternoon, is that right?
Yeah, it's, what is it, about 5:20 on a Friday afternoon.
Excellent. See, our working day has just started.
For some people.
So you guys sound like you're
For you, though.
outside the Atlantic.
I'm sorry, that was cut off, Michael.
Are you both in England or are you at different sides of the Atlantic?
We're in Germany.
Ah,
I'm in
okay.
Essex, and Mike is slightly further south in Cologne.
Good stuff. The beautiful city, Cologne.
Especially when the sun is coming out now. The sun came out now for the first time in 8 months.
Years, I would say, no.
So we're all going a little crazy here in Northern Europe with all the rain.
Yeah, the weather's really all over the place all around the world, isn't it? It's really, really weird.
I mean, you've had a very, very hot summer, haven't you?
In certain parts, certain days were hot. We actually had, we broke a few records for the most days over 30 degrees here in Victoria. In fact, we broke the record twice. Once in February and then again in sort of mid-April. So we've had a sort of Indian summer, but I think that's really a precursor for drought, to be honest.
I met Julian in March in Munich, and he said they had to invent a new color for the weather map to show the level of hotness, and there was a very dark purple in places where it was above 40 degrees. And that's probably just as bad as having temperatures around freezing in May. I don't know which one I would prefer, to be honest.
Yes, you kind of want one when you're in the middle of the other. I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
Well, I've just been to a mountaineering shop here to buy some supplies for my daughter who's heading off to Europe.
Okay.
We're trying to cover all bases. He's going into summer, but you just never know, do you?
Hi, Stephan and Michael. This is Vinny from the iMoot team. Just making sure that everything's okay for your
Vinny.
session.
Everything seems perfect, Vinny. Thank you.
Yeah, you look completely organized. Webcams, audio working fine. Slides up already. That's great.
Yeah, that's just, being in Germany, that just helps, we're so efficient, organized.
We have a reputation to maintain, yeah.
Even Michael, I've been here for 30 years, is organized now.
Thank you, Stephan.
There's another joke about the towels at the swimming pool, the first people to get the sun lounges, first people to get in the iMoot rooms.
I mean, I've been in this room for about 2 hours now just to make sure I was the first.
You just want more badges, right?
Okay, well, I'll let you. I'm going to switch my microphone off for a little while. In fact, I'm going to. Who's operating these slides? Is that Stephan or Michael?
Stephan, I think.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay, because you can only give one person the presenter rights at one time, and Stephan's got the right rights. So
I can change them, can't I? I can change them over to Michael, and Michael can give it back to me.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you've got that. You've got the same control that I do, so you can switch presenter.
Brilliant.
But what I'll do is I'll mute everybody's microphones that will end.
Just to save bandwidth. Perfect.
There we go.
Yeah.
So now when anybody joins us, their microphones will be automatically muted.
Brilliant.
Okay, so
I was just asking about switching presenter rights so that the it's the little red dot that follows the little arrow. So that if Michael wants to show something, I can give him presenter rights and vice versa. But that will work.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, there's a thunderstorm just about to happen here, so I'm going to switch off my
oh dear.
mic, and I'll be back on in about 8 minutes to introduce you.
Brilliant.
Okay,
Thanks,
great.
Vin.
Thank you, Vin. Hi, Shalima. My gosh, I've only, well, not just started. I've been up since about 5:30 because of my my wife. She starts very early. So it's nearly 9:30 in Germany. Room's slowly filling up, I see. Ottawa near the North Pole, wow.
Wow, you actually read it. I thought
Yeah,
people were
we
just
think
gonna
so too, Shalimar. Right.
All right, Rebecca.
Yes, Rebecca, you mentioned a good point. It is originally about leadership in organizations. But I think has further applications also in learning groups.
In what kind of an institution do you work, Rebecca?
I thought I'd speak rather than type. I work in a further education college, so in the UK that's kind of 16 to 18 year olds, mostly some university level. And I know what it's like as a student. I could picture myself in all those stages as a student and as an employee as well, kind of getting annoyed or those, the barriers coming up. So I can see how it would affect other people. So it's very interesting. Looking forward to this.
Thunderstorms.
You heard that in the background, it just through my microphone. Well, my clock's just about to, it's Malaysia and our rainy season's doing weird things this year, it seems to be. But 3:30 in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, we get the most incredible thunderstorms every day.
Right.
Anyway, what I'll do is I'll introduce you in between bolts of lightning, and I'd like to say thank you ever so much for joining us this afternoon, evening, morning, whichever time zone you're in. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what you've got to say using Scarf to make Moodle more motivating, which is a little bit of a tongue twister. So looking forward to it, guys.
Thank you, Vinny. Thanks.
Thanks, Vinny.
Okay. Right, Michael, you want to
Right,
start
as you
off?
see our tongue twisting. Yeah, let's get started. Our tongue twisting title, using Scarf to make Moodle more motivating. Today we'd like to take you through also use some of your ideas, so brainstorm a little bit using the text chat to assure your own involvement in our presentation as well.
Okay. Before we start, we're going to switch off our video just to save bandwidth, make sure that the sound quality is even better. Hope you can all hear us all right. If not, please leave a message in the chat, then we can see what else we can do. So it's just going to be my voice now. The reason why we chose to do a presentation about Scarf has got a lot to do with this quote by Theodore Zeldin. Rebecca might know him because he's British philosopher. If you know Michael and I a little bit, you know that we tend to do presentations more about the, well, not so much about the technology of Moodle, but about how to use Moodle in social ways. And that was really what attracted us. And that's the question really. When will we make the same breakthroughs in the way that we treat each other as we have made in technology? Because in lots of respects, we are still way, way, way behind if we look at particularly the recent developments in technology. So this is really what the presentation is going to be about. And for the next bit, I'm going to hand you over to Michael.
Thanks very much, Steph. Today, of course, we'd like to start with an agenda. Today, our agenda is, first of all, just a very brief introduction as to who we are. And then we'll just give you a very brief outline as well of SCARF, model developed by David Rock. And then we'll get to some more concrete, maybe toolboxes or tools or examples in Moodle on how we can use SCARF to appeal to people, to help motivate them in their learning groups in Moodle. Towards the end of the presentation, we will have a kind of open space for you to provide some feedback or ask some questions as time allows. So that, just so you know what's coming up, that's our agenda. And let's get started with first of all, who we are, Stephan and Michael. Steph, let me pass on the microphone to you. You can start with your introduction.
Okay. In fact, you've seen us anyway, so we might just as well give us some faces. My name is Stephan Rinke, or as my British colleagues always refer to me, Stephan Rinke. I used to work in Britain as an English and German teacher, mainly German, a little bit of English in the sixth form. And in 2004, I returned back to England. My wife did what some people do with their Volkswagens. She re-imported me. And it's all down to the Queen, really. If the Queen hadn't had her Golden Jubilee in 2002, then I wouldn't have been able to go to a wedding where I met my wife, and that's the only reason why I'm back in Germany now. At the moment, I'm working at the Essen Adult Education Center, the Volkshochschule Essen, which is probably the largest provider of education for adults in the region. You can learn anything really now at college, from languages to using computers to photography, pottery. It's a very, very big range of subjects that we do, business studies and so on and so forth. I'm working in the languages department. I'm not an IT guy. The reason why I'm also the Moodle admin and I think the official title is e-learning coordinator is that I brought back lots of ideas of how to use ICT in teaching when I came back from England. Because believe it or not, Germany is still in the blackboard and chalk age. Mary Cooch visited a Moodle Moot in Germany in March, and she actually took a picture because it took place in a university, and she took a picture of the chalk and blackboard. So that's the status quo in Germany, and Michael and I are busy working towards boosting Germany into the 21st century finally.
We do what we can. Yes, as far as my introduction, my name is Michael Tighe. The name is spelt a little bit funny. It's an Irish name. It means the philosopher, I'm told, to pronounce Thai like necktie or like somebody from Thailand. I come from the corporate setting. I'm a leadership trainer and systemic coach. So I work on a lot of leadership programs that have to do with cross-cultural cooperation, cross-cultural leadership, and primarily with virtual leadership. So I design and implement a variety of programs on leading virtual teams or virtual teamwork. So a lot of things involving virtuality, using spaces like this web conferencing tool, and learning platforms and so forth. So that's my kind of real area of specialization. And also I teach cross-cultural management at the University of Applied Sciences in Cologne and at the University of Essen-Duisburg. So I'm working cross-culturally quite a lot. So cross-cultural and virtual sort of sums it up for me.
Yeah, this is our third iMoot. The first one was in 2010 when we did a talk called In Moot We Trust. And that was our very first one, very exciting, and it's still exciting because it's getting bigger and better every year, we think. And the next one was called 5 Tips for Collaborative Moodle Courses. So you see, we're always focusing not so much on the technology, but how to use the technology to increase collaboration, to increase motivation, and to make learning more exciting. And the way we a lot of the times do that is by looking at how we teach in an ordinary classroom, in the so-called real world, and transferring those principles to the online world. I'm going to hand you over to Michael, who's going to explain a little bit more about SCARF. Some people probably have got a little idea. If they got their SCARF reader's badge, it meant that they at least downloaded the PDF file. And I already heard that some of you have actually read it or scanned it. Michael, deeper insight into this.
Right. SCARF is a model that we've been using in a lot of corporate programs recently. Typically, leaders in an international corporate setting face the dilemma of having to lead people without having any formal authority over them, so not being responsible for bonuses and any financial incentives. So they have to motivate these people at a distance many times using web technologies, people they've never actually met, and so applying a lot of lateral leadership methods. And SCARF is a really useful, let's say, model to kind of frame how we can motivate people. It's derived from brain-based research. David Rock is the kind of inventor of SCARF. He also coined the term neuro-leadership. Of course, we're going to move away from leadership here and think about ways that we can motivate as a course creator, or as an instructor or a teacher in the Moodle setting. But SCARF is very useful in lateral leadership and motivating people when you have no direct responsibility for them. The model concentrates on the 5 elements of SCARF, the first one being status, so the relative importance to others in groups, a sense of certainty, the C for certainty, being able to provide stable environments, being able to predict the future to some extent, and then autonomy, the A for autonomy, having a sense of control over events, having a sense that you're in the driver's seat, that you're not just a kind of a victim of others' commands, for example. And of course, in groups, to collaborate effectively, we need to feel a kind of sense of relatedness, that we have some identification with the team, with the group, so a kind of sense of security and safety with others. And the F in SCARF for fairness, so having the impression that there's a fair and exchange between people, so perception of fair exchanges. If we take a look at the model here, the model maybe helps us frame or simplify, helps us to remember, maybe recognize, and modify the core social domains that drive our behavior. So labeling these drivers draws conscious awareness to them and helps us in two ways. Firstly, if we know these drivers, then we can think about what might cause threat responses, and we'll be asking you today also what you would say would cause threat responses and cause people to move away from where we want them to be. And of course, on the other hand, we can think about how we can create reward responses and positive reinforcement so that people move towards where we want them to be. So increasing their sense of status can be perceived by them as rewarding, making them much more cooperative, collaborative, open, ready to work together. So this central organizing principle of the brain, the approach avoid response, the principle represents the likelihood that a person encounters a stimulus. Their brain will either associate or tag, so to speak, that stimulus as good and engage in the stimulus, so an approach, or their brain will tag the stimulus as bad and they will disengage from the stimulus and avoid it. So the stimulus, if a stimulus is associated with positive emotions or rewards, it will likely lead to an approach response, and that's what we're after here. If it's associated with a negative or with negative emotions or punishments, it's likely to lead to an avoidance response. These responses are particularly strong when the stimulus is associated with survival. So this really comes from a core within us. Let's take a look at just a quick look at some of the different responses, the synonyms in the literature. So to approach, advance, attack, reward, expand, solution, strength, and so forth. What traditionally activates this response? So, of course, in our Moodle courses, we're generally not offering money, food, water, sex, or shelter. So we have to think about other ways, perhaps happy, attractive faces, rewards in increasing status, certainty, and so forth. So again, we're working very basically. Siggy thought she was going to get paid for this one, right? For approach and avoid responses. So we'll try to concentrate on those in the kinds of activities we do, in the way we write text, in the way we think about our Moodle activities. Let's take a look at the first S in SCARF, status. As I mentioned, it's about relative importance, a kind of pecking order and seniority. Humans hold a representation of status in relation to others when in conversations, when in forum conversations even, and this affects the mental processes in many ways. The brain thinks about status using similar circuits for processing numbers. One's sense of status goes up when one feels better than another person, or even better than past results, kind of competition with your own performance. So, for example, winning a swimming race, a card game, or an argument probably feels good because of the perception of increased status and the resulting reward circuitry being activated. The perception of a potential or real reduction in status can, of course, on the other hand, generate a strong threat response. Researchers have showed that a reduction in status resulting from being left out in an activity lit up the same regions of the brains as physical pain. So as you can imagine, something to take quite seriously when thinking about inclusion in our Moodles.
Yeah, and before we look at things that we have thought of, how you can work towards an approach response with regards to status in Moodle courses, how can we use this, that people need to feel appreciated and to feel that their status is being protected, and also that the status may even be promoted. We want to ask you to have a quick brainstorm in the chat whether you can think of ways that could threaten status in a blended learning scenario or in a complete online scenario. So how can we use Moodle, or which examples have you perhaps seen of Moodle use where the learner status was threatened by actions that teachers took or other learners took? So if you could enter that in the chat, that would be great. I might just type it out for you as well.
Right, just to organize the notes a little bit. So, in other words, what can cause a threat response? What can decrease positions of your Moodlers in the pecking order and the seniority? What do people do in Moodle that make them feel inferior to another person? How can you generate a strong threat response? Good, look at all those ideas. Wonderful, that's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of here having to do with recognition, perhaps peer-to-peer recognition, perhaps teacher-student recognition.
I like the one responding more to loud responders and ignoring shy ones. Yeah, Michael? Yeah, praising one person and ignoring the other, although the contribution was similar, definitely is a threat to status.
Also touching on fairness later on in the SCARF model, if we think about that, if a teacher's doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Really good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean because Rebecca, you mean because you realize that other people have completed more activities than you have and have unlocked other items in the Moodle course? Okay. Mm-hmm. Right.
Great.
Yes, Molly.
That's true. Yeah.
I've only got 5, so I'm way behind most people here.
Okay, it's great to see that you're such a, as a group here, such a great resource, really providing a lot of ideas here. We're going to repeat this structure for all of the elements of SCARF. So if you are formulating some ideas on the other elements, you might want to jot those down when the time comes to put them into the text chat.
Right. Let's have a look then at positive actions that you can take to increase status, make people feel safe within their status and appreciated. This call out, every time you see a call out shape, it means that it's taking place in the real world, so to speak. Because a lot of people are working in a blended learning scenario. So pointing out that there is something great in a Moodle course, that somebody has done a good contribution, particularly if it's like this, because you're pointing out something useful to the others while at the same time giving Margaret, raising her status as well. Was that a typo, Ziggy? You mean RT? Yes. Yeah, it's similar to an RT in Twitter. You're right. True. Another one. Although this can work the other way around. Somebody put in, publishing quiz results. we thought at least, if you enter the top 3 quiz results, then it will increase status, because it doesn't take status away from the others, but it just means there were 3 that were really, really good. And I've just taken that screenshot from the Moodle.org, from the Moodle docs. Carol is just saying call-outs can backfire and make less confidence students scared of posting in case wrong. It depends. If you're praising good ones, but you're not talking about bad ones, it should at least not cause apprehension. But people are differently. People work differently. True. It's also possible to publish the highest grades anonymously. So the people who have got the top grades, they can compare and they will know, oh, this means me. And that way, they will feel appreciated as well, and they will know that what they're doing is right, and so on and so forth. Michael, do you want to talk about promoting roles?
That's okay, Steph. You can. I'm just typing some comments in the text chat right at the moment.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Another way of increasing status is if we use this quite often in our college. We've got a big second chance education department where people who have not managed to gain the normal school leaving qualification after 10 years of compulsory schooling, they can redo their qualification. So they come to us for 2 years and redo their qualification, and we use Moodle with them extensively. It's probably the department who uses Moodle the most. And we always have people who are either very, very good at IT, so they become assistants to the teachers. They can then put resources into the course because they get promoted to teacher status in some cases. Or sometimes we give them just certain roles within a certain activity. Like here you can see a screenshot where you see that somebody is promoting just in the process of promoting other people to teacher status in a forum to work as moderators. So that's a way of giving, if you give power to other people, first of all, you obviously show that you trust them, but it also increases status. And another idea that we have, I don't think Mary is here, but I'm sure she doesn't mind that I nicked her forum post of Moodle.org. It could be a bit small, but you all have seen it in the forums. Underneath Mary's profile picture, you can see lots and lots of different icons highlighted with a 1. And these highlight that Mary is part of certain groups. She's part of the group that writes the Moodle documentation. Underneath it says that she's also a Moodle course creator certificate holder. She's a very useful Moodler. She works for a Moodle partner, and so on and so forth. So it's very, very similar to giving out badges. It shows that these people have done a lot for the Moodle project, and it just shows that they're appreciated. And the other thing is, that's sort of highlighted with the number 2 at the bottom, the ratings that we have in the Moodle.org forums, where you can say, that was useful. That post really helped me, changed my way of thinking, and so on and so forth. That's another way of increasing status. And just like we are all keen to get badges, I've got the same thing. I don't contribute as often as I'd like to the Moodle.org forums, but when I do and somebody sort of rates it as useful, it does create a positive response within myself. I can feel it myself. So I am weird, but I'm not so weird that I wouldn't think that other people feel the same thing when they receive these useful ratings. Okay. Another thing that we have done is to praise and to give status by giving presents, and do this openly. This is a screenshot from a forum post replying to the very first post in a Moodle course. So I just felt that somebody who dares to be the very first one to contribute anything to the Moodle course deserves a little bit of praise. So first of all, I said thank you very much for your information, and an even bigger thank you for being the very first one to contribute to our Moodle course. And as a little thank you, I'm giving you this video. If I remember, I will put the link to the video in there. It's Sweet Georgia Brown being played by these three guys in the background, and the percussion is performed by the tractor, which is quite a funny. It's quite a funny video, and the guy liked it, and it shows what kind of behavior we want in our Moodle course. So it praises the wanted behavior, and it provides a model for the others, so that they can dare to contribute too. Okay. Right, so these were some things that we thought of very quickly about raising status. There are lots and lots of others, but we only have an hour, and we're already nearly halfway into our session time. So if you have any other ideas, please just put them in the chat, and I'll hand you back over to Michael.
Thanks a lot, Steph. Let me grab the presentation. So as Stephan said, if you have any other ideas, please do enter them into the text chat. Let's move on to certainty, or creating an atmosphere where the future is kind of stable, maybe a little bit more predictable than it might otherwise be. The act of creating a sense of certainty is rewarding. Examples, as the article, David Rock's article pointed out, you can see them everywhere in daily life. So music that has repeating patterns is rewarding because we can kind of predict the flow of the information. Meeting expectations generates an increase in dopamine levels in the brain, and a reward response consequently. Of course, there are many cultural preferences here as well. Some cultures or people from the cultural backgrounds, national cultural backgrounds, may be more risk avoidant than others, and so forth. So in general, we have to think about how are we creating stability or a sense of certainty, predictability in our Moodle courses. Going back, another example, going back to a well-known place feels good because the mental maps of the environment can easily be recalled. So how can we think about our Moodle in terms of a mental map, that it is welcoming when people return to it? But again, first, how can we, if I can focus your attention on how can we create a threat response by disrupting certainty in Moodle? How can we make things very unpredictable, very kind of risky and destabilize for our learners? And again, this kind of using the chat in the brainstorming. So the negative first, what can we do to make things unpredictable and create a sense of risk in Moodle? Good. So not give full instructions for the task. Very good, especially in the beginning if students can't share their understanding. What can we do to remove the foundations and make people experience uncertainty? Yes, changing the task midway. Very good. Very frustrating. Yeah, just on the very basic visual level, the different themes and layouts. Yeah, tests, especially surprise tests, where we always have to be on our toes. Visualization, many times underestimated. Yeah, the ambiguity of not responding. Generally, our brains fill that void with, feelings of uncertainty, maybe sometimes negativity, just because of the ambiguity. So we tend to fill in the gaps. That, of course, helps to fragment our learning community and to undermine trust as well.
Mhm. Interesting thing.
I think we see a lot here the important role that communication plays in establishing a feeling of certainty or predictability when we're not communicating, especially in completely online courses. When we're not communicating, things begin to fragment. People do not feel secure. Good. Again, very impressive ideas. A lot of you all are a really good resource for generating these ideas. Let me hand over the microphone back to Stephan, who will go over some of the concrete things that we came up with.
Yeah, as we've said, this is by no means exhaustive. It's just things that we came up with. Certainty. These lovely people just depict those people who help me create certainty, and possibly you. It means certainty starts with having a stable, smoothly running Moodle platform that's available, that's not broken, where things just work the way they are supposed to work. And this is obviously a bit tongue-in-cheek, but to have your private geek ready to be, to ask him or her if you've got Moodle problems, that helps making sure that things are running smoothly, and to have these guys in the background to make sure that Moodle is running. Alternatively, if you don't have somebody to run the Moodle for you, or you can do it yourself, as one of these people depicts you. You can always, shameless plug, and I'm not one of them, you can always go to somebody who's proven to Moodle that they can. So having a stable Moodle platform that's running smoothly, that's being updated regularly, that has got all the security patches put in, that's one of the ways to start with certainty. Because if the thing isn't working, people will not want to use the platform. Funnily enough, yesterday evening, day before yesterday evening, I was stressing out because then our Moodle platform, for some reason or another, wasn't available for 3 hours, and I had a lot of emails in my inbox. I was surprised how many people are actually using Moodle at that time of day, and luckily it was fixed in the morning. But I didn't have those geeks ready. Our support in the city of Essen works from 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. And if anything happens after 5, that's your problem. It can't be fixed, at least not by then. And the other one, it's already been mentioned as a negative example, not having a clear structure, having a clear navigational structure in your Moodle course, making sure that people find what they need to find and when they need to find it. It's a German screenshot, but don't worry, I'm gonna help you out here. The first thing is that in the right, with the yellow box with the white font, it says move your mouse over the pictures for help. And when people do this, the little call out opens here, and it tells you this is the help forum, seeking help, giving help, and finding help. So this is, and all these different pictures linked to a different forum. This was just a course in preparation for a real, a real classroom session. Was just a weekend seminar. So this was just to get to know one another and then put resources in. So this was not a proper, not a blended learning scenario that ran over a long period of time, but it was important for me to give them already an opportunity to get to know one another. And we'll see some examples that were being used in this coffee house forum. That I have got like a newsletter function, which is the news forum that this info picture leads to. And when you click on the person with the light bulb over their head, you come to a forum where you are, you've got the opportunity to share tips and tricks. You found out something that's working for you, or you found a very good resource on the internet, and so on and so forth. It gives the opportunity to share your knowledge. So this is all about really making Moodle navigation as intuitive as possible, using pictures, using icons. And this Moodle course used the orphaned activities extensively. Orphaned activities means, does everybody know what it means? Can you just raise your hand if you know what orphaned activity means? Because then I need to explain it. Put up your hand if you know what it is. Okay. No? Okay, I'm going to talk about the orphanage a little bit then. It's only about half of you heard of this before. When you create a Moodle course, what you can do is you can put all the activities that you don't want people to see directly into the very last topic section, into the very last section of your course. And once you've put everything in there, you remove that section. You can just click on the little minus sign at the bottom. And that won't delete the activities and the resources, but it will it will lead to the last section of being shown to learners. And you can still link to those activities from pictures or from text. So it means the Moodle course is not as cluttered as a lot of the Moodle courses that I've seen. You've got a very clear navigation structure. If you've attended Julian's session about gamification, dissecting a gamified course yesterday, that course was using those orphaned activities extensively too, so that you can't see them and you can link to them, and you can create also these random finds where people suddenly find a resource and then tell other people about it. Have you clicked on this? This is what happens. Things like that. So with orphaned activities, you can make your Moodle course a lot clearer, because not everything is being shown to the users. Because a lot of the time they don't need to have this sort of one activity right after the other. It becomes very cluttered and people don't know where to click. Course organization, that's a screenshot that Michael's provided. You can tell because it's in English. It just means that people are very, very clear about what's going to happen when, and making clear what's all about. Perhaps, Michael, you want to talk about it because you did this course. I know it's a screenshot, but it's about presentations that we're supposed to give, isn't it?
Yes, of course. This is from a master's course in cross-cultural management, and so the students come from all over the world, and so as you can imagine, there are a lot of different ideas as to what an effective presentation is. And so just to give them a little bit of orientation in terms of what expectations are from the course designer, from the teacher, so that they're a little bit clearer on that, and then just being very, very clear with schedules, and just having a section there where everything is a one-stop organizational area where they're just very clear on expectations, and that does away with a lot of ambiguities.
Yeah. And then also, putting it in the news forum, so that you're over-communicating. You're giving the same piece of information through several channels to make sure that nobody misses it. Or, well, there's always one person who misses it, but that
20% will miss. Yeah, we talk about in the virtual space, over communication, communicating the same message via many different channels, and also not only spoken, not only voice communication, not only text communication, bullet points and so forth, but also using images, using diagrams, just this constant over communication.
Creating certainty is also achieved with providing a place to ask questions if something is still not certain. So this is a screenshot of the help forum that I use. It's the picture is taken in an underground station in Germany, where you've got these pillar boxes where you can ring for help or information if the train's running late. And underneath it just says, this is the place where we help one another. Everybody can ask for help here, and everybody who knows a solution to the problem posts it here as an answer. This is taken quite recently, I think. The date stamp was not visible really, can't really read it, but this is from one of the second chance education courses where somebody wasn't clear about what was expected for an assignment, and all the answers came from fellow students, not the teacher. So there was no need for the teacher to actually provide the answers. It was a place where people were able to sort out the problems themselves. And of course, one thing that we need to do is, in a blended scenario, when we actually see one another face to face, is to talk to people. One cannot assume that everybody has seen the things that you've put in Moodle. So it's always best to communicate. And Michael used the term over-communication, and that also goes for face-to-face situations. And it's always good anyway to link from the face-to-face situations to link to the online resources and activities that are there. So pointing things out is obviously a good way of making sure that uncertainty doesn't really arise.
This is kind of related to that idea of trust and genuine concern for others. So making sure that that people see that you as the teacher are also concerned for their progress in the course and so forth.
Hi, Michael. Can you talk a little bit about autonomy and what it means in the SCARF framework then?
Yeah. Autonomy is the perception of exerting control over your environment. So the feeling that you have choices, the degree of control that we can exert over a stress factor, for example, a task, for example, determines whether or not the stressor alters our functioning. So we need to assure autonomy. We need to ensure some degree of perception of choice with our students in our Moodles, and as was mentioned before, this kind of making sure students can also work autonomously. Again, let's go and think about or come up with some resources as to how can we threaten autonomy? How can we really hammer it into oblivion? How can we get rid of autonomy? What can we do to make our students feel completely dependent or lack of independence and autonomy? What can we do to make students feel that they have no control whatsoever over outcomes of their actions? Here I'm using the technique, or this kind of thinking in reverse, is a technique from coaching called upside down brainstorming. So we're actually thinking right now, how could we really drive things to complete failure? And sometimes turning around those negatives can give us different perspectives on what to do that we wouldn't get if we were just doing a kind of positive brainstorming. So don't be afraid to really think in terms of extremes. What can we do to rob autonomy from our students?
Yes, IT security. Yeah, that's true for me, Gavin. At least we don't bring our laptop and sneak it into one of the networks.
So again, what can we do to rob autonomy, to make people feel powerless, in other words, individually?
Brilliant, brilliant ideas of really messing things up. Smashing. Hey.
Great. Again, lots of ideas.
Yeah. Yes, dump and pump, basically. That's yes. Yeah, Michael, I had this situation when I was still working at university, and I found out that nobody had actually thought of setting up a Facebook group for my seminar, and that was, that was yonks ago. But yeah, true. No, I'm perfectly happy for them to do the discussion somewhere else. Autonomy is, one of the few things, because we wanted to give you screenshots. I mean, there are lots of things that we can talk about, but we don't have actually any screenshot in Moodle. But one of the things you can do in Moodle is you can allow everybody to have the user interface being displayed in the language that they feel most comfortable about. So that's one way of doing it. And the other thing, so we make sure that we've got the language packs installed for all the languages that are being used in that room. The only time where we don't do this is when they reach a certain level, and they are in German courses and they need to learn German for exams and things. Then we switch, once they've reached a certain level only, and we switch Moodle to German. Allowing user themes. I know that's probably, people feel very uncomfortable about this, but it's one way of, if it's possible and if it goes with corporate policy and so on and so forth, it's one way of really giving them some autonomy the way Moodle looks for them. The content is displayed for everybody the same, but the way it is displayed is very, very difficult. Another thing with autonomy is to give them autonomy over when to do what and where. So we took screenshots showing that people are in different regions of the world, so people can decide where to do it. And from the logs at the bottom, you can see that people were doing things at different times. And that's the strength of Moodle, isn't it? That's the strength of this asynchronous tool, that you can decide, if you wanted to hand in an assignment at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can do. And if you want to reply to a forum post at 5 o'clock before having your shower and going off to work, you can do that as well. And for fairness, deadlines are needed. But until that deadline, it shouldn't matter at all where we're going to put things. So that's one way of increasing autonomy. And Moodle does that. If you set up your blended learning in such a way that they've got some autonomy about where they're doing things, when they're doing things, and in group work, who they're doing these things with, that's definitely increasing autonomy as well. And here you can just see a screenshot of a forum telling people that they've got the choice of choosing the task that they need to fulfill to prove that a certain learning objective has been fulfilled. So some people can do an interview and post their findings back into the intercultural communication forum, and others can download one of the PDF files that are in the course and write a summary post a summary in the forum. That shouldn't be a problem. That's another way of increasing autonomy by giving choices. And some people may be very, very good at doing podcasts, or they may be very good at doing videos, and some people may feel more comfortable writing a text. And if the learning product at the end proves that they've understood a concept, or they've fulfilled a certain learning objective, then it shouldn't matter what kind of a learning product they give you to show off that they've reached that aim. This is another thing, sharing links, that's autonomy, because they can put their own resources into the Moodle course. So this is another way of increasing autonomy, because they are free to do their own research, and they can even share then that research that they did in a forum by pointing it out to others. So you give them some text that you may have as set texts, but you encourage them to find out more things and to do it the way they want to. Okay. Right, we're reaching the R.
We're at the R for the scarf. Good. Relatedness, of course, we like to feel related. Relatedness involves deciding whether the others are in or out of a social group, whether someone is a friend or potentially a foe. Relatedness is a driver of behavior in many types of teams, also learning teams, but also from sports teams to organizational silos. People naturally like to be to form kind of tribes where they experience a sense of belonging. So the concept of being inside or outside the group is probably a byproduct of living in small communities for millions of years, as we have been, when strangers were more likely to be trouble and should be avoided. How can we, however, do that in Moodle? How can we make people feel related? And again, starting off with the upside down brainstorming, I'd like you to focus on how can we make people feel completely alienated? How can we make people feel like outsiders? What can we do to really make them not feel part of the community, the Moodle learning group? So again, just a couple minutes, please. Put your ideas down in the text chat. We like to use you as a resource here for each other, so close them out, not responding, good. Denying communication tools so they can't communicate with each other. Yeah, for example, don't give them access, maybe not even noticing when they don't have access. Yeah, this friendly chat with a couple of participants, maybe showing favoritism. We could categorize in the fairness section, I think. Okay. Due to time constraints, let's take a look. Let's jump in and take a look at the things we can do to increase the reward response, to increase a feeling of belonging, and increase relatedness.
Yeah,
Stephan, I hand on the microphone.
This is supposed to show, but we had to blur them obviously to protect privacy, is you need to have profile pictures. Especially if you're in a course where people don't see one another very often, people need to have the face. And otherwise they will feel alienated. They don't feel as part of a group. People don't respond, if you look at the very bottom one, people don't respond to that shape. It looks a lot nicer than the space cakes that we used to have in Moodle 1. But it does help so much because people respond to faces psychologically. You cannot really build up a relationship very easily if you don't have an image of the person. And a lot of the time, people then will create the image, and that may be different from the one that you want to protect anyway. Yeah, Ziggy, yes, you wouldn't enter a classroom with a brown bag.
I like that.
Being a teenager, I felt doing this, but I think everybody does as a teenager, isn't it awful? So yes, you need to have a complete profile, not this anonymous shape. Another thing is to actually take time in a Moodle course for activities that will give them opportunities to get to know one another. This is a screenshot of a getting to know one another round that we did in Moodle. That was just before the German Moodle Moot in March in Munich, where I wanted to get to know my workshop participants. And the idea is basically to link to a page that has got lots of animal pictures on there. And people are supposed to choose one of the pictures and only from those pictures that are offered. And then describe afterwards why they chose that animal and not another one, for example. So this is why at the top one there you see a picture of a cat, because this person has chosen the cat. And she said because cats seem to be very, very good at relaxing. And this person needs some relaxing time as well. And you can also see that I reply to that and giving opportunities for people to find similarities. And this person was from Denmark, so I told her that I was going to be in Copenhagen a couple of weeks after the Moodle Moot and things like that. And automatically you've got some common ground, you've got something to talk about. Yes, Michael, you want to say something?
I just wanted to make people aware that we probably will be going slightly longer, just to make people aware of that we are reaching the 1 hour point.
And the other thing that increases the feeling of relatedness is, again, it's that help forum. I know you've seen the screenshot before, but this one addresses a different issue. There's research that says that if people do you a favor, they will like you more. And since in most cultures it's very, very difficult to deny a favor, if I ask somebody a favor, unless it's something outrageous, people tend to do it. So if you want to like somebody, if you want to make somebody like you a little bit more, ask them a favor, because psychologically that happens in your brain, that if you ask somebody something, a favor, and they do it for you, they will like you more. So having a place where people can share and can help one another is a good way of feeling related, because it works both ways. If you do somebody a favor, research shows you will feel more related to them, and the other way of course too. If somebody does you a favor, you're very, very likely to like them. So doing favors is a great way of feeling connected and related, and this is why we feel so connected at iMoot, because we're constantly sharing, helping one another out, sharing our resources, and so on and so forth. And this is basically why the atmosphere is so good here, and why we feel we are family. The other one is every one of my Moodle courses has got a coffee house forum, a cafeteria, where they can just chat, and it's they can chat about any topic at all. It doesn't have to be related to the seminar topic at all. It's it can be. I've had people flogging off their DVD collections because they're moving on to Blu-ray. Oh, excellent, Vinny. Yes, we can finish in 15 minutes. That's brilliant. That's helpful. And where they've organized babysitters and things like this. And this will all increase relatedness. Michael, shall we skip this one, although it's a bit of fun, but I think we will be running out of time.
I think I want to have some fun, Stephan. I don't know about you, but I would like to get a volunteer to read the colors. Can somebody raise their hand? It's just a quick activity. Of course, in Moodle, we have to plan activities that are asynchronous, but here we're in a synchronous environment, so we thought we would do a kind of socializing quick thing with you here in this environment. And there's Rebecca raising her hand. Thank you, Rebecca. Everybody give a little round of applause for Rebecca for being so brave and volunteering. Rebecca, can you just read out the colors? So, for example, the first word, green, red, blue, and so forth. Let's see how you do.
Oh my gosh, I haven't had my breakfast yet. This is going to be tough. Okay. Green, red, blue, yellow, blue, black, red, blue, green, black, red, yellow, green, blue, black, blue, red, green.
Excellent. Okay. Can we give Rebecca some recognition? Perfect job. See, Steph, I knew we couldn't do without this. So, of course, creating socializing moments, creating, especially for only online courses where we don't have an opportunity to have a cup of coffee together and so forth. We have to think about how we're going to do that in Moodle. So many of the asynchronous activities like forums and virtual presence, giving people food and so forth as a kind of sign of recognition.
Yes, I will do a badge. I will do a badge.
Okay, we're coming to the last, let's say, element in our model, in the SCARF model, fairness. Fairness, as I mentioned before, has to do with fair exchanges. This is perhaps the hardest, perhaps maybe pinpoint, as we often first notice fairness when there's a lack of it. Unfair situations can generate very strong emotional reactions, indeed, very negative reactions. Again, what can you do to undermine a sense of fairness in your Moodle course? So just very quick brainstorming there. What can you do to really make things completely unfair in Moodle? How can we make people feel cheated and disrespected? Mm-hmm. Good. Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a creepy pic. It's threatening to threats to fairness. And I'll pass the microphone back over to Stephan.
Okay. Yeah, fairness is again about making sure what criteria you're going to use to mark. This is why we've got all those documents at the top there that Michael put into one of his intercultural communication and leadership courses to make sure that everybody knows exactly what's being expected of them. And at the bottom you can see a screenshot of one of those documents that's got the exact marking scheme, so people know exactly how they're going to be assessed. There's no question about it. And they all know that it's going to be the same criteria for everybody. I was asking colleagues, and my wife always has got to be a sparring partner when I think of things when we prepare presentations. And we found that describing fairness is often about describing what is unfair. It's very, very difficult to describe what's fair. But that would be one of them, to make sure that everybody knows everybody's going to be assessed the same way. That's one of the things that we came up with. The other thing is, to make it fair is, get people to be able to ask questions. Get their perspective in, and then value that perspective and use it in your further teaching. And then we haven't got a screenshot. That's one of the very few slides that's not with the Moodle screenshot. But there are some things that you just need to do to show fairness as well, and to get the correct atmosphere and a purposeful and motivating atmosphere. So I assume you can all read this if I can read this. So I'm not gonna read things out to you, because I don't like people reading their slides to me either. But perhaps we point some of them out that we find particularly important. I think this one here is the one that I've suffered from. Don't change policies mid-course. And weirdly enough, it was I felt treated unfairly because I did everything that was expected of me, and then lots of people who weren't able to organize themselves in such a way, and who had perhaps some very valid reasons for not being able to fill those criteria for passing the course, complained, and then the policies were changed, and they were getting good marks too. And I thought, well, I broke my neck here to be able to create, to meet these criteria. And then all of a sudden, the criteria get changed, and I found that, I would have had an extra week, and so on and so forth.
Mm.
It doesn't mean that you should never ever change things, because sometimes you find that you have given, far too much workload, or, what you're expecting of them is perhaps not achievable. But at least as, who's written it? I read it somewhere. Yeah, Sally's saying, the reason for changing is not explained. You need to have it explained. That's true. Finding the right level of difficulty. Explaining why answers are incorrect. All those things. Hey.
Right. Thanks, Steph. In conclusion, again, before we close, we ask you to think how you can use the results from brain research to make your Moodle environments more motivating and rewarding. What ways can you minimize threats and strengthen rewards? We've outlined just a few ideas, but we suggest that SCARF might be a useful model to keep in mind when dealing with people in Moodle. And ask you to continue doing that. Think about the different elements here, the SCARF, and think about how you can adapt your Moodle environment to of course move towards reward responses and motivation. And because we also want to use a sense of fairness with you, we'd like to lend you some status, autonomy, and relatedness by inviting you to contribute here with your questions and comments before we go. If you have a question or comment, you have the chat option, or I can activate your microphone if you raise your hand.
Well, there's one badge that only Rebecca can get. Well, possibly when we do the rerun of the session, is the anti-color blindness badge or something like that.
Mm. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah, thanks, Dot, for sharing the Judy Salmon link.
Okay, thank you, John.
Yes, and you are free to go.
Okay, that's not our paper, it's just a document that we've uploaded, but I think you'll find it interesting, Michael.
Yes, excellent. Thank you all for participating so much, because we relied on you participating. It would have been an awful experience if you decided not to write anything in the chat. So thanks for all your help. Thanks for all the ideas, because I got some new ideas through that as well. So
definitely, yeah.
I love giving presentations because it's one way of forcing myself to learn something. And then during the presentation, I learned something else as well. So thanks for that.
Yes, and of course we'll be presenting the saving the chat as well for you to refer to later on. Maybe expand upon your ideas there. Great resource you all are.
Yeah. And don't forget, there's the forum in our Moodle course where you can keep the conversation going. It'd be great. Right, I'm going to just switch on my video so I can wave to you before we go off. So thanks for that. See you soon. This is my office, which I need to tidy, as I can see now.
Hi, this is Vinny again from the iMoot team. I just want to say another big thank you See you both. Thank you very much, guys. That was great.
Thank you. Thanks for helping out, Vinny, as well. And thanks to Nadia as well.
Thanks, Vinny. A little bit broken up, the audio.
Okay. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. Good boys.
Guys, now when I close out the room, the chat will automatically get lost. So, Stefan or Michael, do you want to? You should be able to right-click and copy all of the text if you did want to save the chat, or have you got everything that you need?
Yes, we do want to save the chat yet, so just give us a second.
I've done that. Yes.
You have, Steph?
Yeah, I've copied it. I will put it in a document and upload it into the room so that people can follow the.
That'd be great.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks
great.
a lot,
Thank you
Vinny.
very much, guys.
Thank you. Bye now.
Cool. I'll see you around.
Right, stay away from the lightning.
You are currently the only person in this conference. You are currently the only person in this conference.